All right. Once again, thank you for joining the X Level Podcast. I'm D Rizzle. Got my main man, Big Reese. Maurice Wright sitting in, and we got a special guest in the structure, Mike Chill Wilson, joining us via audio. Fellas, what's going on?
What's up? What's up, fellas?
Hey,
Y'all all right?
Yeah,
very
we're
good,
doing
man. Very good.
All right. We haven't done a podcast in a couple of months, but we about to get it on. A lot of good information coming at you. And we're going to kind of dive into a couple of topics. The first that we're going to dive into is the black vote in 2020. Let's talk about the black vote. Is our vote important? We vote in 60-something days. There's been talk about suppressing our vote from the standpoint of not voting as a block. Let's talk about what needs to be done as not only black men, as a black community, and what is the real accomplishment if we talk about not voting versus voting. Y'all dive right on in. It's all we all over the place on this here. The black vote today. If we do not vote, is that a vote for Trump?
Oh yeah, that's definitely a vote for Trump. I believe. I mean, not that every black person is going to vote one way, and we understand that. We know we're monolithic. I mean, we're not going to vote all one way. But as far as Trump, yeah, I believe that Trump is going to, if you don't vote, he's definitely going to benefit from that, for sure.
Okay.
What about you, Sean? Chill.
Go, Chill. Go ahead.
Chill.
I personally don't believe that a non-vote is a vote for Trump. And only why I say that is because somebody that voted in 92, I voted all my years. But then when they ran Hillary and they said that I didn't vote, they said that was a vote for Trump. I kind of was like, no, that was a vote. That was just a non-vote. I just feel like it's just a non-vote. It's not a vote for Trump because you literally have to score 1 point, a vote point. You can't say that's the vote for Trump. That's how I feel.
Okay. So let's look at this esteemed political or electoral college, if you will. We know Trump lost the popular vote. However, he won based on the electoral college. So myself, I'm going to find a lot of debate where even though you win on the popular vote, you can get swooped depending on the electoral college, the states you win, and everything from that standpoint. So do I say as an individual that my vote doesn't matter, or if in fact I don't vote, it's a vote for Trump in this case? I want to challenge that and say, hey, wholeheartedly, I mean, without even getting to the political science of things, I just think knowing the possibility of where this president that's sitting in office can take things, you got to have above and beyond the numbers to even have an argument with this guy leaving office. That's just my take.
But part of my problem is I want to know from either candidate, what are we going to get for our vote? That's part of my problem. You keep hearing people constantly, you got to vote for Biden. Well, what has Biden said, or what has Trump said to the black community that makes me say, hey, man, I'm going to vote for you because you said this, or you're going to do this, or blah, 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 blah. I haven't heard that argument, so I'm not saying I don't like either.
Okay.
So I'm a little disheartened by this whole process myself.
Okay.
Well, I was listening to I was doing some research, and as far as like judges that Trump has appointed
Mhm.
this past 4 years, he's appointed 198 judges, and
Right.
his second, he's second to compared with um, Jimmy Carter.
Mm.
So as far as
Mhm.
like all the presidents in the that ever, he's appointed 198 judges. Do you know how many is black?
Well, here's the part, not to cut you off, but the reason most of those judges were appointed, that was Mitch McConnell. They came up with a plan to keep the structure in place.
Absolutely.
If you can keep those laws and do things that way, Mitch McConnell, he's the architect of that. So,
Right, but I
so
know, but
I get
under
what you,
Trump,
I get where you're coming
right. But as far as like 198
At
judges
best.
has been appointed, and we're not talking about. So he's not going. We're not dealing with 4 years. We're dealing with 40 years because these judges stay in office until they die, just about.
from. Right,
So
right.
as far as like in zero is has been black.
Zero.
So that zero.
Now,
Can I cut in?
oh yeah.
The way I feel about the judges is this: they no matter what, when they get in office, they gotta stick to the sentencing guidelines. Those are already prejudiced; they're already biased. So even if it is a black judge, when they look at that black defendant, they already got the white people guidelines sentence you. They already got the Joe Biden guidelines for drugs and violence. So this is my personal opinion. A lot of the black people, they just be up there with the black face. Like over there in Africa where the judges wear the blind wigs and they let you have it. If you tell them, you ask them, why y'all wearing those wigs? So to me, all the black judges got on blind wigs to me. So I understand your argument about the Supreme Court, but the Supreme Court has historically been anti-black. You can go back to the Dred Scott. You can go right now to the Supreme Court being mostly Catholic and Jew. It's like half Catholic, half Jew. Within those religions, you have the oppressors right there. So the Supreme Court, even Black Clarence Thomas has a Catholic background. So Catholics and Jews can't really do nothing for Baptists or Pentecostals.
Right. Well, my opinion is, even though we know that the chips are stacked against us, we have to make the best possible decision. We know that it's not going to be in our favor. If little, if Pookie is going to court and Pookie is innocent, but we know he's innocent, you know he's innocent, but all of a sudden, he goes to court and they don't believe just by how he looks. I mean, there's really nothing we could do. We have to break it down. We have to break this down and strategically figure out how do we get the best people in office, even though it may not help us, but we still got to do something. We can't just let them bogart everything. And you understand what I'm saying, D?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, so let's talk about our vote. Let's talk about what we're gonna get. Shaq, you talked about what we're gonna do and what our goal is from the standpoint of how we're going to affect change. And my challenge is this. I think I've mentioned this before. We're dealing with a hostile environment right now. And I believe from the standpoint of where we're at for our fight, our plight, for us to have 60 days, this is something we should have been fighting for. Realistically, we should have been setting the ground time this clown got in office in order for us to affect change. We can't,
Right.
I don't even believe, I hear T.I., I hear Cube, I hear these guys talking about let's suppress our vote until we get some type of demands met. I mean, we too far gone for this. This is something we should have did months ago.
You kind of using the wrong language when you say suppress. We can't suppress our vote ourselves. Y'all using tricky language. Y'all say suppress our vote. They're not saying suppress the vote. They're saying use it as a strategy. like the suppression, that's the key word that white people use for black people. Cuba ain't saying suppress the vote. I just wanted to clear that up.
Okay.
They saying, you know, they ain't saying suppress because you can't self-suppress your vote.
Good point.
Okay, you don't want to use the word suppress. All right, that's fine. What demands
out for a long
being
period
made?
of time, we working 2 jobs like that.
Right.
So she was like, and then she was like, well, I really want.
Uh-oh.
That's what I want to know.
So
It's abstinence. It's abstinence. It's abstinence. It's voter abstinence. I'm abstaining from the election like we did in 2016. We didn't go out and vote. Not just black males. All races and genders didn't vote for them people.
But chill.
So we vote. Yes.
But chill. I get that. But here's the thing: you want to abstain from voting. I get it. All right. My problem with that is every person in 2016 that walked into that booth didn't vote for Hillary. They voted for Trump, but they said they voted for Hillary. So in instances you might have lied. All I'm saying is you go to both candidates and say, look, we can get you over. This community can get you over. But what you gonna do for us?
all right.
Hold their feet to the fire.
Yeah, you want to win. You're not gonna win without us. We can give you a greater victory.
Okay.
What you gonna do for us?
Right. Now let me jump back in, Chill. You made a good point, which, as I always do, I use the term, so I wanted to go ahead and define that term that I use: suppress. Prevent the development, action, or expressing of a feeling, impulse, idea, or to restrain, hold back, and keep back. So when I talk about the term suppression, that's the same method when we're saying we're not going to go to the polls in November because we have an issue with Harris's challenges as an attorney general or Biden's crime bill. That's the same concept. So if we're looking at that standpoint, we got to say, hey, is it needed? And are we arguing too late for this right now? We found out that Biden was running early this year. We found out that Trump went into office in 2017. If those were challenges, I believe at that time, our people in force should have been fighting to start planning for this thing 4 years down the road. Comments, brothers. And we want to welcome Brother Neil. We see Russ Neil jumping on the Zoom podcast. We want to welcome him on. And
What's up, Russ?
I'm looking for conversation. Chill.
No.
I mean, I just look at it like suppression. The way the word is used, I don't think I said abstaining from voting. Holding back, that is true. But
Okay.
I hold back. I think it's like the white man, doing stuff to stop people from going to the booth. People doing election fraud and stuff like that. That's what I mean, suppress the vote. It's just that's the term. That's an inflammatory term. But I agree with Reese when he said parlay for our vote. But the people that said power ain't thinking about doing that. Like you said, we should have did this 4 years ago.
Right.
They're never going to do that. They've chosen to ignore the black male vote, or even some sisters ain't voting with Biden. It's already a given that is like 90% is guaranteed to vote Democrat. So I feel like that 90% is with the whole white supremacy thing along with it's a Democrat. You can't change it with Biden. You can change it with Hillary. They should be committed to changing the black community like 3 years ago, or even under Obama.
I heard something the other day. Let me ask you this. I heard something the other day from the great Dick Gregory. and he says that he don't believe that we have black communities. And in the analogy, he says the reason he doesn't believe there are black communities is because in a community, you control the police department, you control other aspects of it. He said we have black neighborhoods because we really don't control much of anything. Now, I want to see, do you agree with that? And if you don't agree, I want you to expound on it. Tell me what you think.
I agree with that. That's a Dick Gregory. I always respect what Dick Gregory has talked about. That sounds right. We don't control much of anything as far as the police department, the justice system. I mean, it just is what it is. That sounds like that's very interesting. I'm glad you brought that up. That's something. What do you think, Russ? Russ, you gonna mute.
So if that's the case, if it's close to time that we need to start, getting something for something of value that we have. That's all that's where I'm at.
No, you 100%. That's a great. I think that's honestly, I think that's great for you to think like that. For us to get something for. I mean, just present it. Hey, for us like that.
Like I say though, it's nothing you can put in place 60, 90, 180 days before an event is going down. I'm sorry. This is something we should have been fighting for, putting in place. We should have been rallying, and in order for it to be effective, we would have had to have this in place 2 years ago.
You know what? That's part of a problem too. You have these conversations, but who do we have to look to say, okay, you're in that rarefied air. You can talk to these people. Where's our quote unquote black leadership that can expound on these things?
That's a good question.
It don't exist, and that's the problem. Like you said, these whole last 3 years, black people were still not even on the agenda. Everybody was going with the sexism. It wasn't even thinking about black people. We had a Kaepernick rally here too. But my point is, it was like, I just want to say this the right way. For the last 3 years, and before the George Floyd thing, civil rights of black people wasn't even on the agenda.
Fair.
So now, I mean, maybe some people could say it was, but I just didn't see it because I've been calling for it since Obama. So I'm just like, the people that are in leadership, Kamala Harris, she introduces a lynching bill, which is LGBT based.
Okay.
That bill, the people that's in leadership, Cory Booker, they're only trending. Our leaders are only dealing with the trending issues. They have no fortitude where they come out and say, boom, I'm gonna do this.
That's fair. I stand with that. And let's take it a step further. Let's talk about the resounding ideology of preparing to get reparations. Now we know there's been 5 cultures, if you will, that's received reparations. Of course, Jewish community, Chinese, Indians. Was it the Pacific? It's 2 I'm missing. I think Hawaiians as well. But 5 have traditionally received, and anybody feel free to jump in, but it's 5 that traditionally received reparations in the past. There's a conversation now where supposedly Biden has overstepped talking about reparations. Biden has not presumably endorsed reparations, if you will. And what we're looking to see now is, how do we move forward? I know there's different states that are trying to get reparations in place, but I say again.
But hey, honestly, if Biden asked for reparations, you can forget that. You can forget him winning that.
Oh, well, again. So
right?
do we feel we have, as blacks, the ability to go after Biden? We know we ain't going after Trump, but after Biden, and say we want the reparations to be part of your election process in 2020?
It's not either.
Okay.
Those are to me, it's not Biden or Trump that you need to be trying to put your foot on. It's the elected Congress and Senate.
That's all. That's what I've been. That's what
It's
I've been saying. That's what I'm saying.
It's the local politicians. It's you. That's where that is. Power is not the person you looking at. It's the people behind him. That's what we need to be looking at. It's those people who we need to be like, okay, you want to be in office for another 4 years or 2 years or whatever? We need to start talking about this. That's where we need to be concentrating at. Forget this figurehead. Forget that.
So that has to be organized, which I think we have a problem doing, is getting that organized
Oh yeah.
to actually have a strategy and actually go right at that particular strategy at that person.
The old too many chiefs and not enough Indians. Yeah, I get it.
Right.
Okay.
You know.
But at the same time, nobody talked about reparations for like 20 years. Kamala Harris, once again, she comes and introduces it as a segue into the black mentality, into the black psychology. Reparations is 105-year-old lie. They never go give it. When you talk about Congress people, that is true. But Congress people are controlled by the Jewish companies, that the lobbies, they are all ran by a certain group of people, the bankers, Goldman Sachs, they control all that. They the ones made all the money. That's where their original wealth came from.
Okay.
Yes, we should approach it. We should approach it. But you have to understand, everybody in Congress is paid off. It's not like they're going to say, we're going to donate this much, but we're going to pay these black people back. Because that would be admitting slavery. And my whole point is, we never talked about it for years. Kamala Harris introduced that, knowing that it's not going to happen. And she even said that everybody should get it or something. So the people that introduced it into the national discussion, she's not sincere with it. She just put it out there to put it out there.
So it was just ear candy.
That's all it was, man. That was like a religion bill. That's all she would do is put out there is I ain't ear candy.
Wow.
I mean, I believe reparations is the only way we actually have our civil rights. So I do believe in reparations. I don't want to use a God form. I don't want to do this. I want reparations because people in my family was in slavery, and I feel like I'm owed that money. You feel me? So I just want the money. We can make it on our own, but I don't think they ever will give it up because the people that got rich off slavery is the people that run Congress right now with money.
All right. Well, let me ask you this. If this talk continues, do you ever think in our lifetimes that you will see a payout to blacks for reparations?
That's a good question.
They talking about it. They talking about it sometimes, but it's going to be minuscule compared to the whole, to the trillions. If they get 10 billion at one time, we talking about trillions. We're talking about the whole American wealth system from the North and the South.
Well, remember, what was it? Bob Johnson. He said,
calculated that, right?
Yeah, 14 trillion. Now, that's a lot of greenbacks, baby. I don't see it happening.
So let's talk about this. And Chill, you mentioned Kamala Harris reviving it, but we know Conyers introduced the bill in '89. He
Yes.
continually reintroduced it. However, he's already in DC. Where is the leverage? I mean, you reintroduce this thing every time, all the time. Who's supporting you? And if we're talking about reparations, we're leaning heavy on Black folks that are elected officials to come in and do their part, supposedly. But we also cannot make light of the fact that you need support from white individuals, and I don't even want to use the term white individuals, non-Black individuals to kind of push this thing forward that are actually inside the power structure. Because I don't know where it's falling. Conyers was a wise man. He had power. But where did that end up at? And why is it still sitting here? And why we haven't moved in over 30, 40 years?
Hey, brothers, can I jump in?
Please do.
Okay, I'm sorry I'm driving. I heard the conversation. This is one that really needs some historical context update, because what's happening is there is a National Reparations Council.
Yep.
They just had a National Reparations conference here about 2 months ago. I believe it's Congresswoman Sheila Jackson out of Texas that's headed it up. But what's happened is, on the local level, a few local communities made history here recently, passing local reparation bills. Evanston, Illinois passed a $10 million local reparations bill based off of, they earmarked the legalized recreational marijuana dollars that would be coming into their city. And they passed legislation that earmarked that money to address the gentrification of Black folks out of their community. Evanston is a town of right around 17,000 Black folks. And they passed a $10 million local reparations bill. Just locally, we just recently also, Asheville, North Carolina passed the bill. Their reparations bill was passed off of dealing with urban renewal in their community. So there's two blueprints that communities can use. Now there still is the national discussion, which if you saw Shades of America, they talked about if the payout for reparations was to be done based on 11 cents, I'll say it again, 11 cents an hour. The payout would be somewhere in the neighborhood of $19 trillion.
Jeez.
Now, what does that look like on a national level? That's a big discussion. And that's probably like institutionalizing HBCUs, healthcare, maybe doing something with taxes. But that discussion is taking place. But what local communities are doing is looking at what took place in their local communities and addressing what they call local reparation bills. In this discussion, some like to leave reparations for the national discussion, but I do believe you can't say local reparations. But then we also have what we call restitutional dollars.
Okay.
The restitutional dollars deal with communities. If brothers on this line are all from Akron or familiar with Akron, you may know that they displaced the community when they put the expressway in, the Interbelt in. That's not unique to Akron. They did that in a lot of Black communities.
Right, Eisenhower.
That right there would be restitutional dollars, where they did redlining and all that stuff. Restitutional dollars.
Yeah, but that sounds great, but that's reparations. Urban renewal is not reparations.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's restitutional dollars. What we've got.
Yeah, but that's taking it elsewhere. That's urban renewal is not reparations. That's like saying gentrification is reparations.
No. I know it's not reparations. What I'm saying is, in our community, we've got to be talking about all of these things. Because when you say reparations, some people think it's just on a national level.
Okay.
But some local communities have addressed that issue by passing what they call local reparation bills. But what we've got to understand,
if you're Akron, if you're in Akron and Akron gives me 10 million, that has nothing to do with the money that my people down south made for the slave.
No, hear me out. I understand that. But when you talk about reparations from a national scale, you have so many layers that you have to deal with. In your local community, wherever you're from, if people understand the historical context of the local communities and what industries, what acts took place that were either directly tied to slavery or urban renewal, you could address that on a local level. And that's why I reference those other communities that have already, Evanston, Illinois has already earmarked $10 million, and that's just a start. Asheville, North Carolina has already outlined their reparational bill, but they have not put dollars to it. So I'm not familiar with
versus 19 trillion. 10 million versus 19 trillion is like not even noteworthy. To me personally, it's not noteworthy because they can spend 200 million across the whole country and still save 18 trillion. 800 billion. Well, they can even do billions. They can do 200 billion. That still ain't a trillion.
Right, that's right. Based on their analysis, they said the payout would be $19 trillion. That's this country's GDP.
That's poetic justice because we created it.
Well, I mean, you don't get any argument from me there, but you got to start somewhere. We've got to start somewhere.
So I guess the next
I'm from the Red Line District. They just had the great acting greater streets, right? They got all this stuff where they invested in businesses, but everything stopped at where we get selling food at. They got all this money, all these millions, but they didn't have not one dime for us over here after you passed Cuyahoga Falls. Going to the village, you know what I'm talking about. There was no money on Howard Street, none of that. It's all up there on East Cuyahoga Falls Avenue. So we still get Red Line.
Well, but let me speak to that point. The problem there is our community, how we're organized and how we're leveraging our voice. Those other communities I referenced.
What organization?
No, I said community. How we organize. You know, the key
I'm going to ask the question, but I'm going to ask you the question again. What organization do you see in our communities?
Well, I can tell you, because being on the front line, that the organization has taken place. Organizing has taken place. Let me put it like this: the structure has been put in place. The key is the buy-in from the collective community. These other communities that have moved forward have leveraged their collective voice either to get the legislation passed or the legislation and connected with the dollars attached to it. We have to understand each community has its own different variables that inhibit it from being totally effective. These other communities have put their personal agendas aside.
No, that's not. No, I wouldn't say that because you got to understand the mechanics I'm dealing with. I live on North Hill. This side is I live in a Parkside ward. Tara Samples, I love her to death. She always looking out for me, and I'm very cool with you too, Russ. My point is, it's already set up as in the Parkside ward. You got North Hill, you got the East Side, and you got the South Side. How can we, as a community, organize? You know what I'm saying? Like, Tara Samples is already running a Parkside ward. She got 3 communities. You cross right over to Howard Street. You cross right over to Howard Street. Main Street, that's what all the investment is at. They redlined us.
Let me answer your question. First off, Tara, like myself, we are just representatives. The only power we have is the community that stands behind us. Now, because I'm going to give you an example. You go on North Hill, a place where businesses stay vacant for years. You have a community
that made the program They excluded us, not you guys. I'm saying the
One
city.
second, chill,
No,
let him finish
hear
his
me
point.
out. Hear me out.
Chill, let him finish his point.
I want you to go on North Hill where there were businesses that were vacant for years. You have an immigrant population that comes into the community, barely speaks the language. They're not running downtown saying, do this for me, do that. But when they come in, they pull their money together. They buy business by business. They leverage their cooperative economics. They do what we have not been able to do for years. And it's not because we don't have the money. It's because we don't have the cultural DNA to function as a community.
I disagree because the Great Streets program has been going around for like 3 years and it's located where all the foreigners are. The city is matching their funds.
Hear me out.
The city is matching their funds.
Hear me out.
Am I right? Is the city matching their funds? Is the city matching their funds?
No. Those brothers were buying those buildings long before that program was even in place. They were buying those buildings long before those buildings were even in place. Now they take advantage of the program now, but they were buying those buildings before those things were even in place. And I tell you why I know, because they even came in, they weren't even waiting for you to put a sign on your building. They come in and ask you if you want to sell your building.
And I understand they could have came over here with wealth.
And I tell you, you could go in any black community, in any city, and you see the same thing happen.
Okay, but my point is, if we have reparations, we would have that wealth to be able to buy our own businesses. That's why I don't want to settle for 10 million. That's what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Those people coming over here with wealth. That's why we don't have businesses. We don't have generational wealth. When drug dealers make money, they get all their money taken by the police.
All right.
By law. I'm just saying some people don't make money, but they get taken by the police. I don't want to sound ignorant. I know the city matching their funds up there. I know they is.
I think it goes beyond. We know immigrants come over. They receive tax favors, if you will. There's other things that they go into, other arenas that they go into that we as the black community do not readily accept, even though we've been here and could take advantage of it. So if we're talking about dollars being available to us, I, as a small businessman, would have to argue there is opportunities for us out here. Not everybody is taking advantage of it, but I think the whole thought is if we could collectively pool, and everybody ain't gonna do it, but if you can get a certain group of folks to do some things, we can push forward the economic agenda. I'm not challenging and saying, okay, we don't have an ability to go in and do these things, but we got to understand if we're going to get ahead, we've got to work collectively. That's just my challenge.
Those people get $5,000.
Chill.
They get $5,000 when they come here. They get $5,000. You know they get $5,000, right, Russ? They get a $5,000 loan, right? Don't they?
A $5,000 loan.
$5,000 loan. So my point is, if 20 of them get off a boat and they spend $5,000, and you get 20 of them $5,000, what's that? $100K right there.
Okay. I can't say if that's true or not, but let me ask you this. How many people got that $1,200 stimulus check? And what did they do with it?
I said $5,000. I didn't say $1,200. I said $5,000.
Hold up. How many people know, folks, that get a tax return and get $3,500, $4,000 back in a tax return?
Right.
You know the average person don't have the money. They got to pay for stuff. This is real life. They can't just go invest in a business. They got to buy a washer and dryer. No. They got to get a car. They got kids. They got a lot of stuff going on.
Hey,
Russ.
You know what? And all of them probably have their own apartment. You go to a lot of their places, they live in 4 or 5 deep, pulling their money together, starting a business. They're not driving. You don't see them wearing it. It's a matter of priority. All that stuff may be true, but it's an excuse. And I want you hear me out. Let me say this, brothers. Folks want to say what black folks oh man, it's this, that, and all that is true. All that is true. But it ain't nothing our ancestors haven't dealt with.
Mm.
And our ancestors built communities, cities, hospitals, universities, because they still had their cultural DNA. They still understood what it meant to function as a community. We don't. We try to
I
do
totally
everything.
think you're missing out on redlining. I totally think you're missing out on the role of banks playing, denying people business loans. You have a strong point because you got to produce in life. But I also know that you're leaving out the other side of the argument. I know black merchants. I know black people that have businesses. I know people that do this. So I'm not saying it's not impossible. I'm not going to say black people don't have business DNA when I know so many people that work and hustle and do all other types of things. I'm not going to go that far to say it. But what I am saying is these immigrants have they have a labor class. All of these people are not merchants. They get food stamps. I see them at Family Dollar. I see them buying beer and playing numbers too.
Well, Russ, when you bring that up earlier about, they get money now, but you seen them not getting money. They were buying businesses before. When was that? I'm just curious. This is Paris. When did you see them buying?
This is when they moved in. They walked in and asked me if I wanted to sell my business, and I could take you to because another business owner, they would come in and they would pool their money together and buy a business. I got a business that's across the street from me. He's a grocer. When I walked in, I saw all these plants that did not seem indigenous to our country. And I asked him, I said, man, do you have this stuff shipped in? He said, no, all of my customers, hear me out. All of my customers have gardens. He said, what they do not use, they bring to me to put in my store so I can sell it. They bring it to them and give it to them. It's a different mindset. It's a different mindset. And I mean, we could go through this. I've been blessed to be in business for 30 years. And I've been blessed by support from the Black community, but I also have been challenged. I mean, look at it, man. Henry's Acme. Henry's Acme should still be here today. Everybody got to eat groceries. But our community did not see the value in supporting it.
It was too expensive.
And you know what? So what if it was? Because every time you went in there, you saw somebody's brother or sister, aunt or uncle working there. And we should have, and it wasn't like it was an arm and a leg more expensive, and we should have worked with him.
I'm from the north side. I'm from the north side.
But now you're getting into a conversation about self-love, because that's where this is headed as far as I'm concerned, because basically all y'all talking about is how we don't trust each other and how we'll always run to someone else when they plop down the neighborhood and buy from them, but we won't buy from our own. That's all I'm hearing right now.
That's been going on for decades, though. That's not nothing new.
And that's the point when I state that we've lost our cultural DNA. When I say we lost our sense of culture, our cultural DNA, you hit it right on the head. Self-love. Love of self is if you don't love yourself, you can't properly love others.
The black community, I'm speaking from the black community support all the stuff I do over here. So I see the black community as supportive. That's just my own interpretation.
I missed that part. Say it again, Chill.
My experience working with the black community in North Akron has been very supportive. So I see that the black community support black businesses. I feel like we need more capital, and I feel like reparations would be that. I mean, we went off into some great conversation, but I'm trying to take it back to the reparations and the vote part. Like, the people that's in power, reparations is a national issue. So I'm not talking about you, Russ, But I do know Akron got land in Libya. I know Akron got land in Libya where they can pay people. Akron got money besides the people know. So I just feel like reparations is not a local issue; it's a federal issue. So I'm not blaming you for that, Russ, or anybody else.
Let me share this with you though. The way, if we were to function as a community, okay, now we got what, 6 brothers on this line?
Yeah.
5,
Who,
yeah.
who does everybody, who's your cell phone company? I'm T-Mobile.
T-Mobile.
Mine's a T-Mobile.
Okay, so we got at least half of us is with T-Mobile. If we were to leverage and just find out who do we, throughout the city of Akron, who do black folks get their cell phone service for? Who do you bank with? Who's your insurance company? And then we spoke with one voice. We can leverage where we're vested doing business and have them bring money into our community. We just got to think.
Well, I know I spend my money, if I can, definitely with black businesses, if I can find someone that does what I need done. If I need a deck done, if I need music for a party or roofing. Right. You can ask anybody. I'm trying to get everybody to do this. Just try to spend. If I need my washing machine fixed, if I need my furnace put in, all the people, my furnace was put in this year by a black business. Everything I can. And if I can't find one, I'll go. I have to go. But this is how I deal. And I would just hope everybody would try to do that, because the black businesses do need our help to stay, on board.
You know what, brother? That sounds beautiful, but people are looking for the cheapest way out. So
well,
it is what it is, baby.
If like I said, if I'm not gonna go way up north, but like what Russ said, I feel him. If I'm just a little bit more expensive than you, what's wrong with you dealing with me as far as Henry's? You know what I'm saying? Because if say my grocery bill is I go somewhere
$125, whatever.
125, and for that same amount I might have spent $135. I'm going there. Now if we're dealing like 150, 160, I may be like, hold up, that's an extra. Right. But if it and I gotta believe that they're not that much more expensive, honestly. Now I mean, like I said, I don't live on the west side, and I won't, I live in the Chapel Hill area. Well, go ahead.
Well, I can tell you this from experience. That sounds beautiful in theory, all right? But you got, a store there. Some people might have thought it was expensive. Some people might not. Not too far away, they built that Save-A-Lot. They running in and out of there like it's going out of stock because the stuff is cheaper.
Right.
Now, my question would be, how do you combat that?
Yeah, I see them. They're running in and out like they are running in.
They ride, yeah.
But wait, your dollar's only gonna go so far. What you gonna do?
Well, I mean,
man.
Again, I live on the west side now. I'm from the north side. Anybody know me know I ride or die north side, flat out. Right. However, as a individual who's spending my money, I'm going to try to spend black. That's what I'm going to do. Right. If I need to collectively look at what I need to buy here or there and spend, I'm going to do that. I was broke down. I really enjoyed Henry's Act, man. That's just a small thing. I knew Henry personally from years ago, and he was always a good guy to me, and I tried to support him whenever I could. However, there's always been conversation a little more higher, this, that, other. That's fine. And you spend your money however you want to spend your money. But I think the conversation we're having now should be able to spark thoughts within us as a community. And again, let's talk about how we're going to collectively try to make this thing move forward. Jill mentioned some good stuff about the folks on the north side. Quite frank, though, I'm looking to see how we can progress. I mean, that's all well and good. There's got to be it's a north side here with business savvy, with work savvy, education savvy, program savvy, to be able to figure out a way for us to get money, some of this money. And if we go collectively as a unit, and now we go against the city, the state, local government, it's on us at that point.
Well, then let me ask you, what's some of the programs out there that you know that people aren't taking advantage of?
You got to say that again, Chill.
What are some programs out there that you know of that people aren't taking advantage of? Like,
He said, what program?
Some information.
He said, can you share the information on what programs out there people are not taking advantage of? And this is a shameless plug coming at you, Chill. One of the things we did, we did that virtual back to school a couple of days ago, giving resources for the schools for parents coming in. But in the next couple of weeks, we're going to do a resource piece. We want to keep that old school, but we're going to bring in I know there's some mortgage and some rent relief programs that was due to the county. And speaking of somebody that was processing those applications, they ran out of money, but it was people not applying. So, I mean, you always got the United Way, and it's one other one out there too that give you utility assistance. We don't take advantage of those kind of dollars. So there's money out there just for those little things. We're not even talking about on the business side, but on the residential side, it's going to help you dollar-wise. I know there's some grant money out there, and especially with this.
Okay, I was just wondering. I'm just trying to use this to my advantage to a degree because there's some good stuff being said.
Now on the flip side of that, real quick, because I don't know if we're coming to the end of the program, but on the flip side of that United Way, when I was young and our family was looking to do something with United Way to help us out, they didn't help us. And I know it's restrictions and stipulations for that, but now that I'm doing a lot better and my job wants me to donate to the United Way, I don't do it because my dad always told me don't donate to them because they don't give the money to you. So that's what I'm saying.
As far as the United Way, I know this from personal experience. I had a guy I work with. You have to be almost destitute to get anything from the United Way. You got to lose your cards. You got to be close to losing your house before they even give you a helping hand. I know that from personal experience.
Right. So that's why at work, our supervisors get, extra, stock or whatever by so many people that the employees donate to United Way.
There's an incentive because where I work, they basically do the same thing. They ask you to fill out this form, and they basically the more people they can get to, they kind of get like a kickback from United Way, or they get some type of endowment or something. So trust me, it's one hand washes the other.
Right. So that's what I'm saying about United. Some of these places do not, do what they say sometimes.
Chill, jump in, but I want to respond. I'm laughing. You see me laughing. I'm gonna talk about it. Chill, go ahead, and I'm gonna jump back in on that piece right there.
No, man. I just feel like we need more resources, and your program, your upcoming programs is gonna breed that. That you're going in the right direction. I'm ready to rock with you on that.
Okay, hey, that's coming soon.
We need resources. We definitely need resources.
Resources is a beautiful thing, Jill, but here's my problem. You gotta want it. The resource thing is a beautiful thing, but you gotta get out there, you gotta want it, you gotta go, if you not making moves and trying to better, then
Okay.
Yeah, basically.
Well, we're gonna put the resource piece in. And again, I was checking my head earlier when you were talking about the United Way. The first thing I'm gonna say, if you have a 401k, a retirement account with a company, get your hands on it and manage your own money and make sure you're a part of that. Do not allow a company to manage your 401k. They're getting a kickback for how they place you in your portfolio, and you don't look at that thing for 5, 10, 15 years, you might have $150,000 after you retire where you could have had 600,000. So make sure you look at your 401k, your annuities, your IRA, all your statements, and go ahead and manage that. I can't talk to you about people to say, I ain't looked at my stuff in 5 years. That's your money.
Right.
And if you don't touch
Absolutely.
it, they're going to get paid. And doggone it, get all your money that you need. Make sure you know where your money's at. Don't get on the unclaimed funds list where you got $5,000 and $6,000 out there.
Right.
It's crazy.
Right. I know.
So,
You could have been
I'm laughing at
baby. You could have been better.
huh? I hear you,
You
Chip.
could have handled your money. If you handled your money, you could have did it bigger and better. I feel you.
Yeah, you got to get out there and go. You got to get out there and get that money going. So I would say, let's move forward. Shaq Diesel. All right. We can, man, any other comments, questions? We can wrap this up. We got a lot more coming at you from Upscale. We're going to go ahead and get some things going, but any closing comments? I think it was a good discussion. I think we talked about the black vote, where we're going to be going, and we got some stuff that's going to be coming at you here in a short bit. Fellas, go ahead and round it on out.
I want to say one thing. I'm sorry.
Yep, go ahead.
I want to say one thing. I don't want to sound ignorant. Like, I don't think voting count, but it count when we are on the agenda. If it's an issue for me to go to, if I go vote, if I go vote this year, I can look up and down the agenda. If there's nothing on there that's directly affecting me, social, economically, I'm wasting my time. I mean, that's how I feel. It's good to vote, but it's no way I can vote for Biden or Trump this year.
Better than I can.
Oh, that's
Okay.
Well,
So I might write in. I might write in somebody though. I might write in somebody.
You might write in? All right. Hey, Kanye running for president. I might as well run.
right.
You gonna get as many votes as Kanye.
That's what I was thinking.
Well, Dave, it was great conversation, fellas. Really appreciate everybody being on here and everything. So.
Oh yeah, we're gonna come back on. And
Is Russ still here?
Yeah, Russ is there. I think Russ might be muted. Yeah.
No, I'm here. I'll catch you brothers next time.
Okay.
All
All right, I'll get that out. Look for that. We're gonna upload that, and we're gonna close it on out, fellas.
I just want to say to Russ, hey man, thank you for being on. That was informative.
Yes, sir.
And all we doing is just trying to have some dialogue.
That's right.
You know.
Well, hey, let me say this, brothers. For those of you that are in Akron, we'll be able to have more than dialogue. There'll be something coming real soon. Real soon. Right. As far as how we can leverage our collective voice to bring dollars into our community.
Okay.
Right.
That's what I want.
So, that sounds great.
With you all.
All right, so closing out here, I'm D Rizzle. This is the X Level. Got the Upscale Media Group with us here. I want to thank our guest in the structure, Councilman Russ Neal. Mike Chill Wilson is in the structure. Check us out on YouTube. Upscale Media Group is our page. Upscale Media Group. Also, upscalegroup.net is the website. And you can reach us at 330-249-1299. Again, 330-249-1299. Thanks again. Have a good one.
All right, later.
Thank you.